You know, you have to really, 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 really love your people to speak truth. You have to. You know, there's so many people out here that are cowards to just even speak the truth. The truth comes with a price. It comes with a price. And it's up to you what that price is. Nobody can dictate the value that you put in. Nobody. Only you. And you are justified in what you do based off of your connection to the universe. Because if you're acting righteous, loving, caring, and you just want the most and the best for your people, you would never do anything to harm them. That's why you could look at most of these leaders and see, hey, they got their issues. They're not talking about separation, and they're not actively doing that together. Instead of, you know how many leaders we have? If we all work together for separation, no matter what you are, but you just doing it based off of nationality, there's no losing. There's no losing. But we don't have critical thinking skills. You know? Let's watch this video real quick.
The plan is to move education away from what we have right now, which is traditional education. That's, you have so many Carnegie units, you had 4 classes of math and 4 classes of English and so many classes of history to graduate, to what is called outcome-based education. What is the difference between what we had before and what the new regulations are? Before, with the EQA, the state had control down to the district level and could control curriculum planning, which was aimed at targeted subgroups of children. But we had children who did not conform. Outcome-based education does not say the school will teach. It says the student must demonstrate. And through the computer, the control goes down to the individual child. Your child will conform, or they will not move forward. They will meet the goal.
So this is the thinking that we're dealing with as a community, as a people, right? This is the thinking that we are dealing with. People are taught from day one, this is the box, and then they only look. Just look.
So where is it coming from? Where is the driving force? What we found is it's not being driven by education. It's being driven by the big industries. That's who's driving the changes. When we read this...
Okay, so right there, slave. Slaves. Did Abraham Lincoln free the slaves, really? This is what she's talking about.
The scans talked all about what we need to have the proper worker of tomorrow. And this is business telling education what business needs or wants in the worker of tomorrow. What's the best way to change the behavior? What's the best way to attack the attitude? And serves it back up to the child. You've all heard the lifeboat story, right? You know, there's 10 people in the lifeboat only holds 9. Who are we going to throw out of the lifeboat? And if I told you that story, all of your mind would start thinking, who am I going to throw out of the lifeboat?
So it's conditioned based thinking. Conditioned based thinking. You're giving the problem and the solution, because they're telling you what the problem is and they're telling you what the solution is.
The first time I heard the lifeboat story, I was a grad student, and I said to the prof, well, we're not throwing anybody out of the lifeboat. We'll throw a rope out of the back of the lifeboat and somebody swims in a 1 hour shift. There's only ever 9 people in the boat, and everybody only swims 3 hours a day, an hour at a time. He said, there's sharks in the water. I said, there's a shark bag in the boat. And the conversation ended. But I was a ringer, because I knew that he had controlled the universe. I've heard hundreds of suggestions. If I had said to you, save everybody in the boat. But I didn't say that. I said, who are you going to throw out of the lifeboat? And so your mind went right over here.
Conditioned based thinking. This is how they operate. This is how they work. This is how they operate. This is what the school system is. This is what it's become. Condition based thinking. How do we save ourselves? Well, let's get a lot of money from the European and then build our own shit. Condition based thinking. We think that their government is the only thing that we can adhere to, instead of working together, working for ourselves. Everybody doesn't have to be the same thing. Everybody can have different dreams that help within the system that we create. That's what a kingdom does.
Control the universe of choices. I can mold someone's behavior. It makes the child think that they made up their own mind when they really didn't, because I gave them some very concrete guidelines inside of which they had to make up their mind. And it's a very valid way of changing a behavior. So the E2A was the basis for curriculum planning for all the districts in the state. And it was a mandatory test. The districts had to take it because they had to base their long-range plan on it in order to get their state money. What did the EQA test? It tested locus of control, whether you are an internally motivated person or an externally motivated person, whether you stand up against a crowd or whether you go with the flow.
You see? Conditioned based thinking. They don't want you being a free thinker. So then when people see me coming, they're like, oh, he's the contrarian. We can't hang out with him. I can't promote him. I can't be seen around with him. Because he don't believe in Jesus. He don't believe in working with the European. He don't believe that we're being taught real history in their school system. He don't believe what they say on the news. He's always saying something different. Where is he getting that stuff? Why does he think like that? Because we got the internet and I'm able to go see what everybody's opinions.
And they scored it. There was a right answer to the attitude questions. The right answer was go with the flow. How do I vary reward and punishment to make you do what I want you to do? Sample question. There was an organization called the Midnight Marauders. They went out at midnight and spray painted all over everybody's walls. I would join the group if A, my best friend were a member of the group. Child could say yes, no, or maybe. The correct answer was yes. I would join the group if all the popular kids were members of the group. Yes, no, or maybe. The correct answer was yes. I would join the group if my parents would ground me if they found out. The correct answer was no. You are supposed to avoid punishment, but you are supposed to honor commitments to friends and go with the group. The goal was collectivism. The plan is to move.
So, that's what we're dealing with. And who implemented that? These people. General Education Board. Philanthropic, non-governmental organization which was used primarily to support higher education, medical schools in the United States. and to help rural whites and black schools in the South, as well as modernizing farming practices in the South. It helped eradicate hookworm and created the county agent system in American agriculture, linking research at state agricultural experiment stations with actual practice in the field. See what I'm saying? These people are criminals. Was American business magnate and whatever. He is widely considered the wealthiest American of all time and the richest person in modern history. So, this is what we dealing with, man. In our dream, we have limitless resources, and the people yield themselves with perfect docility to our molding hand. The present educational conversions fade from their minds, and unhampered by tradition, we work our own good will upon a grateful and responsive rural folk. We shall not try to make these people or any of their children into philosophers or men of learning or men of science. We have not to rise up from among them authors, editors, poets, or men of letters. We shall not search for embryo, great artists, painters, musicians, nor lawyers. But guess what? They did. And what they do, they control the message that these people were pushing out. Doctors, preachers, still controlling them. Politicians, statesmen, controlling all of these people. This is what they did. Control them. The task we set before ourselves is very simple as well as a very beautiful one, to train these people as we find them to a perfectly ideal life just where they are. So to be content with where you're at, live for where you're at, don't want to see nothing greater or better. You're not striving to be rich or famous. You just want to work, go home, and sleep. That's what they want. But they're not pushing relationships. A lot of people are single. They're not pushing relationships. What they do is a horror show. Fighting, arguing, belittling, massive amounts of stuff. So this is what these people are doing. So we will organize our own children into a little community and teach them to do in a perfect way the things their fathers and mothers are doing in a imperfect way, in the homes, in the shops, and on the farms. So remember, rural white and black schools in the South. You think they didn't get to New York? I talk to people from up there all the time. Them niggas is retarded. So look, this is what it is. Let's see what they were saying. The racial divide. The first project undertaken by GEB sent agents across the South to survey and report on conditions in black and white schools. Agent W.T.B. Williams wrote exceedingly honest narratives of the conditions he encountered. Williams reported on overcrowded and deplorable dilapidated schoolhouses and underpaid teachers and commented extensively on the racial divide. Williams wrote from North Carolina. There is, in fact, but little interest in Negro education among the whites, I am led to believe, save in the case of very best elements. I am led to believe, in the cases of the very best elements, who are sadly in the minority. In 1907, Williams lobbied for increased support of black colleges, noting that they had received little or no assistance from the General Education Board. Boom, you see how they manipulate it though? He's saying, oh, they're not, they're not doing as good as us. Let me get in there and manipulate how they doing things. You know what I'm saying? But they like, nah, they like in their mind, oh, we're going to help them. We're going to try to help them. Fuck out of here, bro. I don't believe none of these niggas say. For advancing their college work. In 1916, a GEB Committee on Negro Education recommended increased support for the higher education in the African American community, which were not African American, by the way. And a few years later, the GEB launched a unfunded campaign in support of black colleges in the South. So yeah, man, this is what we're dealing with, bro. This is what we're dealing with. You could Google all this shit. You don't even, it's not even that far away. You don't have to go to a library. You don't have to do none of that shit now. So to keep on believing what these people are telling you, it's kind of sickening, dude. But anyway, man, I'm out of here. Peace.